Hi, and welcome to Life Beyond the Google Search. I'm Angela Rouse, a 7th grade science teacher at Austin Academy, and my partner is Jennifer Hashert. She's a librarian at Sellers Middle School. I'll talk a little bit about the technology I use in my classroom. My classes use one-to-one technology about once per week. We sometimes use laptops or iPads or desktop computers. They use their own devices in class often, and we utilize Google Classroom as both a bulletin board for them to share information back and forth or ask me questions, and also I receive assignments and assign questions and documents that way. Today's goal in our webinar is to come up with some ways to help guide your students towards digital resources that are both meaningful and credible. While we all know that Google resources are great for supporting education, the searches can very often lead students in the wrong direction. For example, if I type in sharks in this search, you can see how many results we end up with. And some of them aren't relevant to the topic of sharks, the biology of sharks. So we have teams and lots of different websites, some of that have nothing to do with the animals. It can be really hard for students to wade through this much information. And as adults, we know that it's pretty easy to post things on the internet, and it can be difficult to teach students how to judge the validity of a source, especially when they're looking at for research. I know in the past when I've given research for students to do, I provide lots of links to help guide them, and I spend most of my time searching for valuable resources that they can use and then warning them not to do their own searches. This is what a document would have looked like. But now we're using an app in Garland ISD called MackinVIA, which is a great way for students to access the library resources, the digital resources on iPads and laptops and desktops. So recently I changed this document to look like this, and I'll share these documents at the end. Because if they're using the resources that are accessed through MackinVIA, then we can trust the validity. We know that they're going to find good information. One other frustrating thing that can happen when students are doing their own searching for sources, especially searching through Google or any other sites, is they don't realize where the information is really coming from. So this is just an example of a citation page I recently received from a student. And as you can see, they cited the source of some of their information as a Google search. And so they're left not really understanding the purpose of searching Google for information. The resources that students get through MackinVIA will provide the citation students need so they can understand exactly what the source is. So we're going to spend the webinar opening up MackinVIA. You can access the app either through your computer or through the app. Okay. So in Garland ISD, you can access MackinVIA through the library pages. If you just type in mackinvia.com, you'll come up with a sign-in screen, and you can type in your school. Okay, once it has your school, you can log in with your regular Garland ISD username and password. And now once I'm logged in at this level, it'll keep me logged in for the resources, for most of the resources that I link to through MackinVIA. This home page can be a little overwhelming because there's so many things to view. So it's a little bit easier if you jump to the digital resources. And if you take a few minutes to scroll through all the digital resources available, you can see that all of the things that were already available through your library, your school library, are now available on the iPad or on your phone, all in one place. And if we click on one of these, we don't have to use a separate sign-in. We're logged in through Cleaver, and we have access to the information in the resource. Okay, so let's start out by looking at Britannica Image Quest. Open that one first. This is a great place for students to find images that they can use in their presentations. And let's do sharks. So we have some great images that we can use. If students, there's options for clip art. And when students find one that they want to use, they can click on it. You can see the options at the bottom of the window, but I can get the citation down here. And that can be copied and exported. I can download it or email or print it. I can save it to my Google Drive to use later. So this is a great resource for students to find images, and we'll get much more relevant, useful images than with the searching that they would do on Google. Another resource that we use often on campuses is Discovery Ed. And you can see it didn't ask for me to sign in, but if it does, then you have your regular sign-in credentials. You can open science textbooks and social studies textbooks. There's also some math information. Students can search for videos, relevant videos, images. We do our same shark search. We have videos. We can sort it by images. And we can even do text and interactives, so they can read about sharks or do activities with sharks. In my science classroom, we use Discovery Education with each unit to help support the resources, to add to the resources that we use in the classroom, so students can see things in a different light. And every student in the district should have a login. They should have access to the science and social studies portions. Okay. EBSCO and Gale were common databases that we searched before. And they are also on here. Safari Montage, which also students can log into. And we had SIRS before, but Science in Context is one that I've been using this year with my students. Do the same shark search. So I like that I'm also getting reference sites. I'm getting news, current events that students can add to their research. There are audio clips like podcasts. And videos all included. You have a list of topics students can search if they're looking for something interesting. And most offer a listening portion as well as reading. Of course, there's a source citation at the bottom. So citing the source is very easy for students. On my campus, the librarian was able to build some groups, and my students can just click on groups, and anytime I assign a project, they know what resources I suggest for them to use. So in this, of course, they have their Google Drive, which we use weekly, almost daily. And then our main resources are Discovery Ed, Pearson Realize, and Science in Context. They have login information because it's common for students to just forget how to log in, or if their parents want to help them at home. So this information helps them access it at home and at school. Pearson Realize is the science textbooks. in middle school. So students have their own sign-in. And if you're a science teacher and you haven't been using the Pearson Realize programs, it really is a nice support to the lessons that we're doing with our curriculum. There are videos and interactives. They have the online textbook. And that's Pearson Realize. So you can ask your librarian to help put the groups together. Let her know what resources you use. We have our history, 8th grade history classes use these most commonly, so they have these sources available to students. And it's just a real easy way for students to know exactly which resources we expect them to use. So going back to the sample project, that I offered earlier, this is a standard form that I might offer my students through Google Classroom, where I provide the information I'm asking them to use MackinVIA to find information on each topic, or in this case, they had to do 2 different topics. This was a lesson that we did about the Little Prince, just looking at symbols and themes, connecting it to science that they had already studied. And they used MackinVIA, so I was able to cut out a lot of the links from the initial form. And I can offer, let's see, the link if you'd like to build on this document. This link's available. One thing that I didn't mention earlier in the webinar was the ISTE standards and how to find those and what they relate to. There we go. Does that put it on? Okay. So when you're looking at the standards that you're working with your students on, in this case, we were working on standard 3. So we're working on the construction of knowledge and having students critically curate a variety of resources using digital tools. And it's a great idea if you can have students look at different sources and decide which ones would provide the best information, make choices about which types of tools they'd like to use to build their presentations or to develop their research, and to help them explore real-world issues. So this was a standard that we focused on, but these are great to look over and see where your lessons are falling. All right, well, thank you for your time today. We're going to go ahead and post the link. If you have any questions, you can continue to comment and you can follow the link. Thank you very much.